Welcome to the Muster Room podcast. With me, as always, Austin Glickman. I'm Eric Potts. And we have another show. I don't even know what show number this is. This is number 752?
Something like that, or like 5. Yeah. But we're definitely getting there.
752 sounded better.
Yeah.
Our special guest for this show is Charo Lopez, who has an incredible story to share with us. And her brother was killed in the line of duty in 2012?
Yes, correct.
All right. So while we're getting into, tell us a little bit about you first. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm a little crazy.
I'm
a little fun. I walked into this area and everybody was like, shh, we're recording. My name is Charo Lopez. I come from 2 amazing parents. My parents, my mother's Cuban, my father's Colombian, came to this country, as all parents do. Better life, bigger world, so on. So grateful for that. Currently, I am a crystal therapist. I work with anyone suffering from PTSD. So I like to work with first responders.
Okay.
Because I've been through that PSD and I have anxiety and I go through all these things.
And what's a crystal therapist do?
So what I do is I work with the chakras to open and align your chakras. Basically, you're laying on a table for an hour.
I pay good money to have my chakras aligned before,
Let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
It tickles sometimes.
We're actually going to have Eric lay on this table afterwards, and we're going to go through a whole process.
Get my chakra straightened.
Get everything aligned and ready.
No, it won't.
So I just use basically your energies from your body.
Yeah.
That is totally supported by quantum physics and so on, as it's being proved nowadays. And I use the crystals that correspond to your chakras. With that, every crystal has a mineral. So if you're lacking calcium, I'll use the mineral that has calcium better to support what you're doing, what you're going through. But after like 2 or 3 sessions, you start to feel a difference and you're actually able to meditate better. So for me, meditation, if you're suffering from depression, anxiety, PTSD, any kind of stress, if you could have an hour to yourself with no one to take care of and somebody actually taking care of you, to me, I've seen people walk out of there and tell me, I feel like I slept 8 hours.
I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody take care of you for an hour? Pff, I'm in.
Exactly. And I use sound healing. So I use Tibetan bowls.
Oh, wow.
So I always, try to bring you back into the now and not worry about what happened before.
Very cool. Very cool.
So that's what I do.
I think I'm going to come for a session.
You have to.
Or 10.
And I lay anywhere from over 50 to 150 crystals all over you.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds like
on you, around you, and under the bed. That's where I lay the big geodes.
Right.
Can I tell you a quick funny story about geodes and crystals?
Yeah.
So this is all in relation. So my wife, Amanda, who you know, is big into crystals as well. So this is about a year or 2 ago. I come home one night from work. Of course, it's probably like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning after doing a long patrol shift. And I lay my head on my pillow and I go to bed and I roll over and this sharp shooting pain pinches me, just essentially shoots me in the fucking neck. And I go, what the fuck? And I jump out of bed and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I thought like I laid my head on a cactus.
Right.
And she wakes up. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, what the fuck just hit me in my neck? And she goes, and she's stumbling over her words. And I reach into my pillow and I pull out a crystal, no joke, this fucking long. It was like, I don't know what type of crystal it was, quartz maybe?
Quartz, probably,
and it was shaped like a fucking arrowhead.
Yes.
And it stabbed me directly into my jugular.
Oh, jeez.
And she was like, oh, but it's working. I go, what do you mean? She goes, it's for communication.
It's for pissing you off.
Yeah, she goes, we're communicating better already. That's not a joke. And I'm like, don't ever fucking do that again.
Yeah, you're not supposed to put the long sharp ones
well, she
under
did.
your pillow.
She did. I get back into bed after this whole fucking fiasco, and I wrap my arm around her, around her head. And what do? I feel another fucking rock in the bed on her side of the bed and under her pillow. And I'm like, listen, I get it, right? Like I understand it works,
right?
But that might be a little bit over the top. Like, come on.
Yes.
Like,
That's
all these rocks in our bed.
Oh my goodness.
She hasn't done it again though, but maybe she will after hearing this episode.
Now she's going to definitely do it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
if
she?
so, use the nice round ones that won't hurt anyone. Please.
Yeah. Anyway, I felt that was necessary to say.
Charo, tell us, let's talk about your childhood with your brother. Where'd you grow up? How was life? How many kids are in your family?
Just my brother and myself.
Okay, so tell us about childhood, growing up together.
So I'm 11 years older than Artie. So by the time he came around, I was 11.
Okay.
So basically, I was helping my mother with Artie and stuff. But growing up with Artie was the funniest shit ever. My brother was the prankster. Like yourself, my father was a big comedian. He was the kind of guy that, you know, you'd walk into the kitchen and he's stirring a pot of soup and fake snot falls out of his hand. So my brother also took up after that. He would slide around the house in his socks, doing the Kramer, going, oh yeah, all the time. My mother would wash dishes. My brother would sneak up to her and pull her pajamas down. And now she's standing there in her underwear, washing dishes, screaming in her Cuban accent, Arturo, I'm gonna fucking kill you. My brother had the best, not because he was my brother, because I've heard him in the most craziest situations and the best things would fly out of his mouth. I used to say, maybe he should have became a comedian instead of a cop.
Yeah.
Like, you never know.
Right.
But he was the funniest. Like, the 11-year difference made a difference growing up.
Yeah.
You know, from 11 to my 22, then I went off to college and stuff. So 11 years together, we spent it. And he was absolutely hysterical.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what town did you grow up in?
In Flushing, in Queens.
Okay.
In Flushing, Queens.
Now, flash forward, you know, Artie's grown up and he decides to become a police officer. How do you feel about that?
Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up with my uncle being a police officer.
Sure.
And it was normal. My cousin Billy's a fireman. It's like, yeah, defend whatever you have to do. Nobody said no. My mother was a little weary, of course, but we're like, okay,
sure,
go for it.
It runs in the family.
Yeah, it runs in the family. And for us, it was nothing that...
Do you remember having conversations with your brother? Do you know what age he decided he wanted to become a police officer? And do you remember any of those conversations?
I don't, because by then I was not living at home because 11 years older, but he was 20 and I was, you know, in my 30s, away married and everything. But I remember my mother calling and saying, you know, your brother wants to be a cop. She's like, oh, I'm so worried, you know, with her Cuban accent. I was like, Ma, just let him do it.
Yeah.
What will be, will be.
Now, what year is this?
Oh, this was, I believe, 2007, because he went on the force 2008.
Okay. All right. So 2008, he's a police officer. And during the time between...
Probably even more than that. Don't quote me because my dates are off from my PTSD.
Yeah, okay.
I can't keep my dates together. The only date I remember is October 23rd, 2012. Anything that happened before that, my mind has kind of scrambled it like eggs.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's really difficult.
Then let's bring ourselves forward.
Yes.
You know, let's go to that day. Can you explain to us what happened with him?
From my point of view,
what happened to him, and then then I definitely want to talk about what is going on in your mind and how you're feeling. But tell us, give us just the facts of what happened that day.
So that day, there was a car accident on 223rd and Northern Boulevard, where the suspect fled the scene.
And that's in Nassau County or New York City?
That was in Northern Boulevard in Bayside.
Oh, in Bayside.
So ironically,
Queens.
Remember that street was 223rd, right? Now it's October 23rd.
Right.
All right.
Right. So he flees. He gets on the Cross Island. My brother and his partner get the call. They chase him. He wouldn't stop. They pulled up to, his car. He wouldn't stop. So when they got off here at exit 27, right by here by Jericho, the suspect got out of the vehicle, as did my brother. And from my understanding, from what I was told, my brother went to pull out his taser and he got shot. So the suspect, well, now we know, criminal, and he's dead. Thank you very much. Shot my brother right in the chest. And then he took off. He got right back on the Cross Island where Mr. Raymond Facey was on the phone with his daughter, like a good civilian, not driving it on your phone.
Yeah.
He walks up to him, shoots him in the head. He drags him out of the car, kicks him to make sure he's dead, and left him in a Cross Island. He stole his car, and then the chase began till maybe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock that evening. Now, I remember because I was just with my family. We had just identified my brother's body. And as I'm going home, at that time I lived in Westchester. So as I'm going home on the Cross Island, I see all these choppers and everything was just going crazy on the overpass above me. And I turned to my husband, now my ex-husband, and I said, I think they got him. Then all of a sudden I get a call. Somebody says, we got him. They hung up. And I cried my whole way home because at that point I really didn't know the story, and I didn't want to know the story because there was no purpose to it.
Yeah.
My brother was dead. He was gone. Mafangu the story. The important part right now was, how are we going to deal with this?
Yeah.
How are we going to get by this?
Now, Charo, I know this is going to be an emotional question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what it was like to receive that phone call?
So it's pretty crazy. All right. I'm a little intuitive as it is, right? That day, October 23rd, it was cloudy and I was working from home. But I sat down and I opened my Facebook, and the first thing that popped up was Cross Island closed. I said, all right, in my head, I know as family of a police officer, when the highway's closed or something's closed, somebody's dead. Kept reading. I said, this doesn't sound right. And then all of a sudden I got this flurry, like, come over me. And I swear on my own soul, I no longer felt my brother.
Wow.
Like I didn't feel his presence. Seconds later, the phone rings and it's my mother screaming into the phone. There's a cop here. They won't tell me. They won't tell me. I told my mother, I said, Ma, you need to prepare for the worst. Because it's always better to prepare for the worst, right?
Yeah.
And then get the good news afterwards. So I was prepared. But at that point myself, I knew my brother was gone. He wasn't hurt. He was dead. Then I get to the hospital and I find, I knew it. As soon as I went to walk in, all the men were lined up in the wall. And I started screaming, why are these men lined up on the wall? Why are these men lined up in the wall? But I knew that my brother was gone because that's what military does. So officer, fire department, any agency lines up on the wall. And then I saw Clarence coming out of the room, everybody hugging him. I didn't know him at the time, but I knew that he was still alive.
And who is he?
Clarence Hudson was my brother's partner that day. I knew he was still alive.
Yeah.
And what he must have seen was mind-blowing. I just went up to him. I told him I loved him because my brother's dead. There's nothing we could do for him, right? As cold as that may sound, it's logical thinking. And that's what takes over when you're the person who's put in charge of all these things. That's how my mind works. Logical thinking first. Have to save the one who's alive.
Yeah.
Because at any moment, I know he could take his life. He could go on a downward spiral. Anything could happen. So, and then I went into the room where my parents were, and, it was the sobbing, the screaming, the crying. And what I imagine from that moment on, as officers have passed in the line of duty since Arturo, when that happens, I think of them because I know exactly what they're going through.
Right.
And that shit is a kick in the heart.
Yeah.
It's over and over and over. Somebody.
Now, I just want to paint the picture a little bit better for those who are listening, because our listeners span the country.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So for those of us here in Nassau County, Long Island, we probably all remember this incident like it was yesterday because it was major news.
Yeah, and it's going to be 10 years this year,
It's going to be 10 years, yeah. So for those who don't know, the incident started in New York City, in Queens, to be exact.
Yes, one of the boroughs.
The suspect flees the scene.
Mm-hmm.
NYPD is searching for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up crossing the border into Nassau County, which is a different police department, the Nassau County Police Department. Now, your brother, Artie, he was not your typical patrol cop, right?
Right. My brother was Emergency Services,
right.
ESU.
So he's ESU, the elite of the elite, both for the NYPD, for Nassau. ESU is essentially, I don't want to say like the SWAT team, but these cops are highly trained.
Yeah, bomb detection, hazards, hazmat,
so
all that.
They're not typically on the road looking for car stops. They're out there. When the police need help, they're the ones that they call.
Right.
So for Artie to contact him, to be the first cop in Nassau to contact him, is kind of out of the ordinary.
Correct.
Right? He just was in, I guess, I don't want to say the right place at the right time, but almost the wrong place at the wrong time. Right. But he was the first one there, and because of what happened.
Correct.
And then, unfortunately, he ends up losing his life, and then the suspect flees back into Queens, where he then unfortunately kills a civilian.
A civilian,
and then eventually gets captured.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a multi-agency, incident.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it not only affected Nassau County, it affected the NYPD just as much.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. The 105 right there. Amazing. So the first to respond to my brother and his partner for help were Officer Cerullo and Officer Castillo. And
from the NYPD.
From the NYPD from 105.
Yeah.
which is where Brian Moore was from also. So
Right.
we knew he was also on the street that day, that night, searching for my brother's killer.
Yeah, and Brian unfortunately got killed a few years later in the line of duty.
Right, 2 years later.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 105 for me has my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously Nassau.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of paint the
Yes,
paint the broader
you're
picture
better
for
at it than
everyone.
I am.
No, well, being in law enforcement and knowing the area. And then
Yes.
I wasn't on the job when that happened, but I distinctly remember that day.
Yeah.
I remember because again in Nassau County, thank God, we don't receive a lot of line of duty deaths.
Right.
So when it breaks in Nassau, as opposed to New York City, which unfortunately it's almost like a yearly occurrence,
Right.
but in Nassau you don't really hear about it that much. So I remember being a volunteer firefighter and an EMT, so I was still connected in the first responder community.
Correct.
But I remember getting the notification that a Nassau County police officer was killed, an ESU member amongst all, and
Right.
I remember that day going, "Holy shit!" Like our county had just suffered a loss. So that's why I actually remember it pretty distinctly, as opposed to some of the other incidents that we've talked about on this podcast. Yeah.
I remember the case. I was a year away from retirement. I was a police officer in
Wow.
New Jersey. I was a year away from. I remember it. Okay, so I just want to bring it back. So that night, you're in the room with your parents. What's being exchanged between the two of you? What are you saying to your parents? Your parents saying to you? Was anybody regretful that your brother had ever become a police officer? Was anybody cursing that?
No.
No.
No. No, because you're doing the fight of God
Yeah.
and St. Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're keeping evil at bay,
Right.
right? You decide to swear your oath, whether it's military, fire department, police officer, you're doing a job.
Yeah.
We're not going to question you while you're doing it, right? Just like some people become morticians, you think about, oh my God, how does this person do this?
Yeah.
Same thing as an officer. You look at them like, how do you put your life on the line? For me, that comes as a gift from God, or a knowing that you're a special person and you're out there to protect.
Right. So the support that you felt that night from the police, it was strong, and it was.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And my family flew from everywhere. But I do remember, the one thing I do remember telling my parents, because we grew up here, my uncle was a cop, so we're always worried about him, is I would never think that it would happen, that we would turn out to be the family on the news whose son or brother was a murdered cop.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Queens. See it all the time. I watch Fikowski. I watch all those different things growing up. And then here I was now being a part of that elite group of survivors.
Right. Was the media relentless with your family? Were they staking out, trying to get information from you?
Yeah, they were staking out by my mother's house. So my mother's a twin. So they would get my aunt in the picture and they would say, oh, Marella Lopez, she seems so upset, or like whatever on the press, or, I didn't deal with the press until after the trial, because there's always so much. They're in the courtroom.
Right.
You just want to deal with the nonsense that's going on. I just wanted to sit there and watch in my head as I in my head was jumping over and choking the piece of shit to death for killing my brother.
I think that's a natural response. Anybody would feel that way. And I want to get to the trial. I want to talk about that, but I want to take us back to that night and the time afterwards. Now, there's families who are going to be listening to this who have either gone through this or may even be going through this. And so they may not know how to cope or how you dealt with it. So in your opinion, not in your opinion, but how do you feel about what happened immediately after? Let's talk about planning the funeral. I mean, how is that? What's going on? Is the NYPD Nassau County, are they helping you? What's going on with that?
Oh yeah. So from then the ceremonial unit jumped in, and now it's just me and my parents, and I wasn't going to let them deal with that. They're in their 70s, not fair. So we planned everything. My cousins came in, my brother's best friends were there. We went to the church. That day, we had to take my brother to the funeral parlor, of course. And I was there. It's a shock. You don't expect to pick out your brother's casket.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to pick it out for me as I got older.
Yeah.
I walked into that room and I was like, well, these caskets, what am I going to do?
Right.
But I picked the blue one because it was fitting, right?
Yeah.
And just after that, it was the good thing is that the police department kept me busy with all of my brother's stuff. So I never got to break down. So after we buried my brother, Hurricane Sandy came. Then I was stuck at home with no power, no light, just my thoughts. You know, and I have to tell you, it's been maybe last year's when I really started to let everything out.
It's 9 years later.
Because it's the constant, you got to go to police week. You have to go here. You have to go there. You have to show up here. And it becomes so much weight on you.
Does it ever come to a point where you're like, I just can't do it anymore? I don't want to.
Last year, I blew him off a couple of times last year.
That's okay.
Because I needed to get my mental health back to where I wanted to be. Yeah. I want my business to flourish. I want to open my own crystal shop. You know, I really want to get out there and help people like they helped me.
Right.
But I can't fail myself because then my life is a waste. And I don't want that because I know my brother would be pissed.
Right.
You know, he always smiled and I want to keep smiling.
Yeah, he would want you to keep going and do exactly what you're doing.
That. But I dove into so much giving back, to go here, to go there, to show up to awards, to show up to so much that it took a toll on my health.
Yeah.
Now I have a big peptic ulcer that I'm fighting with.
Now you did all that just to keep yourself occupied, and I realized that you said that, you know, the hurricane hit, you lost your power and everything. So that whole time before that, you're not allowing yourself to go through the grieving process at all.
I was just on fire. Okay, we got to do this. Where's this person staying? Police department, you know, you have to sign all the documents.
Right.
You know, it's a murder, so it's not that easy. There's a lot of things that people don't know that you have to go through. You know, they just see it on the news like officer killed, and you see the family going to the funeral. You don't see what happens afterwards.
Yeah, that's very important for people to hear.
That is important. And, you know, and I kept the anxiety to myself, and I'm like, I'm not weak. I'm not weak.
Right.
But I'm weak for keeping it on myself. What makes me strong is now sitting here with tears in my eyes telling everyone this shit killed me. It absolutely killed me, because it's not only me having to deal with my own pain and suffering. It's watching my father and then watching my mother.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't get that. So imagine a spouse who loses their partner.
Yeah.
That's even more painful.
Yeah.
And then, you know, to watch my brother's best friends crying. All that just hits you. People think that you just, this and that. No. You sit there, you stand there, you're at processions, you're watching people melt in front of you. And there's nothing you could do because you yourself, you're melting inside.
Yeah.
So last year, that's when I decided, all right, this nonsense is going to stop.
Do you think maybe your brother was communicating to you and say, hey, that's it, knock it off?
All the time. Yeah. My brother's at the house all the time. And I know that I became intuitively stronger after my brother passed. I get visions. I hear him. I see him in the house. I know he's there. We get the rainbows. Now, look, everybody's not going to believe what I'm saying.
Yeah, I believe it. So,
but if you have the faith within yourself and within the bigger picture, you're going to get those signs.
Tell me about a sign that your brother sent to you that really like,
okay, the biggest one was the day we buried him. We were at Holy Rood, which is in Westbury, Nassau. And it was cloudy, and it was like 75 of us, right? Family, the closest officers, part of the ceremonial unit. And all of a sudden, you hear my cousin Mario go, oh my God. Everybody look up. He's like, oh my God. He's from the South, so he had his twang. And we looked up, the clouds had cleared, and there was a rainbow smile.
Wow.
In the sky. So my brother was always known for his smile. And we all know that rainbows are a sign. It wasn't raining. It was nothing.
That's awesome.
It was cloudy as heck. And then boom. Then all of a sudden, this ray of light comes and hits one of my brother's best friends.
Wow.
And he said, that's the Holy Spirit. Like he felt it. So we all stood there and we were like in awe. Now I have that picture in my Zen den.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's in my room. So when I do any work on anyone, I know to look at the picture, the smile. Okay, we got to get this person on the table to have a rainbow life, a sun, something come out. Yeah. Screw the PSD. Fuck the anxiety. We could work through it.
So Artie has sent me a sign as well. And I know
he says it to you all the time.
This is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into this towards the end of the podcast. But in a few weeks, next week actually, in 5 days from now, I'm going to be with Charo again. We have a big event coming up that we're going to be with each other.
Yes.
And I was on the phone with my vice president, Zach Grunther from Law Enforcement Officers Weekend. And we're talking about this event. This was like 3 months ago. And we're talking about this upcoming event where we're going to be awarding local law enforcement officers who've gone above and beyond in the line of duty. And Zach goes, "What should we name the award?" And I was like, "I don't know. Well, we'll find someone who's, who should have an award in their name." And Zach goes, "Well, what about Artie Lopez from Nassau County?" And of course, we've done plenty of things with the Lopez family in the past.
Yeah.
And I said, "I think that's a good idea." And I shit you not, as Zach says Artie's name, the Nassau County ESU truck that's dedicated to Artie drives by me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
and
it.
on the name, on the side of the truck, it says dedicated to Arthur Lopez, with his badge number and yada yada from the Nassau County Police Department. And I was like, "Zach, you're not gonna fucking believe what just happened."
Yep.
Later that day, Zach's driving home. Now Zach works in a completely different part of Nassau County. I mean, way far away. Actually, in sometimes Suffolk County. As he's driving home, same truck passes Zach. Same day. And we were like, so just to paint a better picture, where I live in Long Beach, the Nassau County Police Department doesn't cover Long Beach. We have our own police department, being that we're a city. So typically, Nassau County ESU shouldn't or wouldn't be in Long Beach.
Right.
So what are the chances that first off, they're there, and secondly, it's the Artie Lopez truck?
Right.
While I'm on the phone with Zach talking about Artie dedicating this award in his honor. And boom, there's the truck as we're talking about him.
Was Artie pushy that way? It was like, "Oh yeah, name it after me. Name it after me."
No, and he was so humble.
Yeah.
He would be the one in heaven going, "Oh my God, don't do nothing under my name. Just keep it quiet." That's the kind of person he was. He's very humble.
Yeah. But then somebody else is saying, "Hey, make a name
yeah.
after him."
Yeah. So we did. So we ended up, making this award in his honor. And in 5 days from now, this coming Saturday. Well, when this airs, it's going to be after the fact. But Saturday, July 30th, we're going to be honoring 11 different local law enforcement officers and a few from out of state who've gone above and beyond. And I believe it's 6 of them are receiving the Artie Lopez Award for Community Service.
Wow.
And Char is going to be there with Mom, and we're going to have the Nassau County Police Commissioner, Pat Ryder, who's a good friend of ours.
That's awesome.
And a bunch of the guys from the 1st Precinct and ESU. Artie's truck's going to be there.
So excited.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great night. And I just wanted to kind of throw it in that tidbit because that was definitely a sign for sure.
Yeah, he shows a lot of people. Like I get messages from everywhere. "Oh my God, your brother was here. I know he was here."
That's wonderful. I mean, that's got to help you with the grieving process too. To know that he's coming to people,
and that he's still up there being a cop.
Yeah,
like I know he's not up there like smoking a cigar, leaning back. My brother was not a drinker.
Yeah,
so he was that kind of person. He's so determined. So for me, he's still doing work up there as a cop.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. I do want to take us back.
Yes,
and I just want to ask this question. If somebody who's going through this, do you have it? Let's ask it this way.
Woo! Thunder,
wow.
lightning.
That might have been Artie again.
It's already, like, don't ask that question.
Wow.
You're gonna ask.
Don't ask that
clap. Do you? And I don't know if this is going to be worded right. Do you have any regrets about how you reacted to it immediately, or do you think if the way you reacted was the right way to react? In other words, bottling it in, keeping it in, or would you suggest that anybody who's going through this, no, you've got to get it out right away. You can't bottle that in.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
Because it all depends on the kind of person you are. I know I'm a strong woman. Like I will never get bullied into a corner.
Yeah.
But death came along and I kind of was. I would say handle it to the best of your decision. I don't regret what I did. Because me holding in all this anxiety and depression, I've grown so much. I was 40 when my brother died. I'm 50 now. And I feel like I'm a firm 50. I'm not where I want to be with my goals because, we always hold ourselves back.
Sure.
Because we are our worst critics. But I would tell them, take it day by day. What I would tell myself is tomorrow will be a better day. Keep saying it, even if you have to lie to yourself, because what happens is you're going to put that in your brain and you're going to be, all right, tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. But yes, take time to eat correctly, to exercise, to punch a punching bag.
Yeah.
to get all of that out, because not everybody is built the same way.
Right.
You know?
And for you, you know, immediately after you're at the hospital, and now the days that follow that, leading up to the trial, how supportive is the law enforcement community up until, you know, you're leading up to trial? Do they fade away? Are they still there with you?
Oh no, they were still there.
Yeah,
they were still there. You know, the press was all over it because it was one of the first Nassau County police murders. You know, it wasn't an accident, so it was all over the press.
Yeah.
So they were always by my side. You know, I always used to park my car at the PBA. I didn't want anybody following me home. Always there, always by the side. Time for lunch, they would take us to the bar, feed us, bring us back. Now, my parents didn't go. It was always mostly me that went.
Right.
But even when they knew, like the detective on the case, Landano, if he knew that something was going to upset me, he's like, all right, let's walk across the street to Dunkin' Donuts. And I tell him, well, what is it? Just tell me what it is. He's like, oh, well, they're going to show pictures of your brother, you know, afterwards. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they were there all the time, and they still are.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear.
That's how it should be. You know?
I want to give a quick shout out to the Nassau County Police Department.
Absolutely. Woohoo, you guys rock.
I mean, we're good friends with them. We're great friends with the PBA. But, yes. You know, the problem is that a lot of those who are outside the tri-state area, mm-hmm. who don't have the large agencies like we do here, you know, we're lucky, right? We have Nassau, Suffolk, NYPD, Westchester, parts of Jersey that are very, very large. And we have units that are specifically designed to handle these types of incidents.
Right.
You know, our ceremonial unit, our employee assistance units, yes. and all these large agencies have that, so they know what to do.
Right.
It's unfortunately, though, that most parts of the country are small agencies, and they don't have the support that we have.
Right.
So I guess, you know, that's what when we talk about the thin blue line, mm-hmm. right, that brotherhood, and I know we use the terminology brotherhood, even though there's, you know, plenty of female cops out there, but even they themselves use the term brotherhood because it's an old school term that it's just stuck with us forever.
What are we going to call it? The otherhood? I'm like, really?
I mean, you can say sisterhood, but brotherhood encompasses everybody in law enforcement.
Exactly.
And again, you know, Nassau County, and I've seen this firsthand. Anytime that I tell them that we're doing an event for other fallen law enforcement officers or injured officers like we have coming up this week, mm-hmm. they're always there for us 100%. Anything we need, Nassau County PBA, Nassau County Police Department, Commissioner Pat Ryder, I mean, they're there for us 100%. And then especially when we say that the Lopez family is involved, they bend over backwards for you guys. And I know that it means so much to you.
It does, because that means they respected my brother.
Yeah.
And it tells me my brother was a good fucking guy.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
To still receive that love after death, shit, people are going to be running away from me when I
die. Yeah. Can you explain to our viewers what a law enforcement funeral is like, especially as someone who was there front row? I know it's another tough.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's not that it's tough. It's like this. I'm going to say a whale, size of a whale. Like so many things come at you. It's beautiful. Yeah. Obviously, you know, the respect, but everything's detail. Everything is done so correctly. You know, even at the wake, my brother's body was never left alone. Mm-hmm. There's always an officer at either end. You know, the funeral, what blew my mind away was the procession. You know, we were in the truck. I don't even remember what truck we were. I think it was a police truck. And I remember just waving at the officers and thanking them all for being there. Standing there for hours.
Tens of thousands of officers.
And at that time, it was one of the biggest funerals for a police
history.
Of Long Island. So I was just dumbfounded. And I wanted to get out and just hug everybody because I was so thankful that they were there. And I know not all those people knew my brother.
Right.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Because you do know because it's brother.
Yeah.
It's the brotherhood.
Right. To be a part of something so unified and so loving, even though you're holding guns.
Yeah.
There's love behind that shield.
Yeah, we call it the Sea of Blue.
That's right.
For the funeral. It's almost specific, not specific, but it was almost coined here in the New York metropolitan area because there's so many cops who live here. I mean, I'm sure you could probably, maybe Joe will throw up some photos of what a sea of blue looks like from some of the previous, law enforcement funerals. But we're talking about tens of thousands, sometimes more lining the streets, shutting down an entire
from all over the world.
And I got to tell you something. My brother was the kind of guy that he would go all over the country to an officer's funeral.
Yeah.
There are so many pictures of him in Seattle or here and there. He was that guy. So when I saw those pictures after the fact, I was like, wow. And look, now they came for him.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Love, bondhood, brotherhood, just like you said it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very important.
Yeah. All right, so now we're coming up to the trial. How long after the incident does the trial take place?
So the trial started in 2014, started in June, and lasted for about 3 months.
Okay.
Because the piece of shit that killed my brother, Mr. Facey, was having dialysis every Thursday and Friday, I believe. So we could only go to court Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And that lasted for 3 months.
Wow. And how old was he?
The killer?
Yeah.
He was about 32, 33.
And your brother was?
29.
29.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now you're sitting, every day you're sitting in that courtroom and you're hearing everything that's going on. What does that feel like for you? I mean, is it frustrating? Do you want to yell? Do you want to scream? I know you said you wanted to jump over and just strangle him.
So
how do you control those emotions in the courtroom?
You control it because you know that you can't let this fucking criminal get out on any detail, especially me losing it in court.
Yeah.
I knew it at that point. My Uncle Bob told me, don't you even fucking move a hair because we need to put him behind bars.
Yeah.
So I sat there. I had all kinds of things playing through my head. At one point, I had ninjas breaking in through the court window, slashing him. Like, I had all kinds of things to keep me occupied.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm also a person who loves detail. So I wanted to know every single thing that happened. And for me, that was finally getting the story behind that day.
What was something that you learned in trial that you didn't know before?
You know what?
You can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head because,
yeah,
I love the law so much. You watch this, you read about that, and I'm a big reader. So I knew what to expect. And my Uncle Bob we had many sessions talking about what was going to happen. And he's told me a couple of times he had to go to trial for something. So I already knew. And the PBA always keeps you informed. Yeah. So when you walk in there, it's like, you feel okay? No, you want some whiskey? Keep you nice and calm.
Did the killer ever do like a public apology? Because I know sometimes they do that in the courtroom.
He did not.
Did he testify?
No, he did not. He did not. Yep. The only thing I know is I had heard that his mother went in to see him. And she said, why don't you pray to God? And he said, who's this God you talk about? I've never fucking met him.
Clearly.
Blah, blah, blah. So, at that point, there's good, there's evil.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was an animal, right? He clearly,
was an animal.
He killed, for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
What was the defense that could have possibly been brought forward? What?
He pleaded not guilty. It was just.
And the defense
that's it.
They didn't. What was their argument? None? Self-defense?
You know what, to be honest, I don't remember what his defense was. I just remember working with the DA. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, he had no defense.
So let's talk about the jury comes back. Talk about that.
So the jury comes back and somebody had a question on second degree murder or something like that.
Right. The classifications are different. We don't need to get too into it. Right, there's different degrees of murder and crimes in general.
So we had to wait till we had to wait a whole weekend then to come back. And then, it was going to be guilty, but somebody needed clarification on that. Then it came back guilty. And then, the courtroom broke out crying. And
Did you let the emotions out then? Is that finally when you just...
Oh, I read my statement.
Oh.
I wrote an impact statement. And you know what? And I didn't think about it because I wish I would have brought it in. So the last line, because I remember I told you my brother loved Lincoln Park. So the last line is, may you never see the sun again. And that was the last line. And my most powerful line that I still remember this day, I was like, and I told him dead to his face. It's like, I hope the devil takes his time with you. I really do. because there is just no place in heaven or hell for you. There really isn't.
Did he have a reaction to you?
No,
Nothing.
he just sat there.
Just a piece of shit.
No, yeah.
So I knew it's
no morals.
He's no morals. He's just a demon of the earth.
And that's where he is right now, right?
Yeah.
Because he's underground. He passed away.
He passed away. I remember the day they called me, and I think I cried so hard because everything came back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I sat through this trial and now this motherfucker's dead. Why didn't he die 2 years before or 3 years before?
Yeah.
Oh, while he was in prison.
How long did he stay in prison?
So he went in 2014 until 2019. He died.
Okay, so he was in there for a few years, and then he died, I guess, from kidney failure or whatever.
Well, he also got a transplant while he was in jail, so that pissed me off even more.
On our dime.
But I understand that because you're under the state, and they got to keep you alive. Yada
you're still
yada
human
yada.
when it comes.
Did he get a life?
2 life sentences without parole.
He killed 2 people. Yeah,
and he appealed it too.
Of course,
he had the nerve to appeal it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a shame that he couldn't suffer more, but I hope that whatever was going on with his kidneys was very painful.
I used to tell my brother, tickle his feet every night. There's nothing worse than being tickled. Don't let him sleep.
Yeah.
You know, just for me not to put that, even though I wanted him dead, I didn't want to say, just kill him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not that evil.
I have to watch what I say because I am, an active law enforcement officer.
I'm
but
not.
Yeah, you're not. So you could say,
I'm not a cop at all.
say what I want to say.
I'm retired.
But I'm glad that he's no longer here because, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so you go through this unbelievable time in your life, years and years and years. And just recently, you've taken that incident, that emotion, and you've turned it into something
positive
powerful
for myself, and
positive.
and
so
for other people.
Tell us about that.
So a little bit after my father died, because then my father passed away in 2016, I started collecting crystals, and I kept getting called to them and just loved them and had a collection. Then all of a sudden, one of my favorite shops in Amityville Apothecary, had this amazing teacher. She's like a master. She's certified. So I became certified. In the first class, I got to it too late. I couldn't sign up. Then in January, I finally got the class. I got certified. And I said, you know what? I'm going to help officers, firemen, nurses, whoever's going through what I went through, because I could understand it. And I could look at you and I know that energy is off. I'm going to focus on them. I want to focus on them. So I have a Zen Den in my home. It's called the Zen Den.
And I've heard some great accolades about it. So some people that are part of the Muscle Room Podcast Facebook group have actually been in your Zen Den.
Yes.
And have said how great of a time they had.
Yeah, they had a really great time. I use essential oils, your crystals. We'll sit down and we'll talk for a little bit. And always everything's kept confidential. And I just write down what it is that it's bothering you. Yeah. A lot of time people don't say it, but because I'm intuitive, I could look at them and say, all right. So I know I have to put certain crystals by them. So it's helped me because now I'm giving back and I found my end in life. Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's phenomenal. And I'm actually serious. I do really want to come by, which I will. I want to come by and I want to experience it.
You have to come by.
And hopefully I won't get stabbed in the neck by a crystal.
No.
Like I did, but I definitely want to come and take a look because, again, I've heard great things about it. And I'll be honest, I'm not particularly open to that, but who knows? Maybe after I go through something like that, maybe I will be more.
Listen, if you're not into crystals, it's about you. It's you time. It's you laying there, blocking out everything, enjoying the sounds, the scents.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and you're like, okay, you're good.
Yeah. So if you had advice to give to other families, because like Eric mentioned earlier,
yes.
I'm sure that there are other families that are going through what you went through right now as they listen to this. What advice would you give them?
Communication.
Explain that.
Talk out your feelings. Don't keep it bottled up. Even if you're someone who's single and live alone like I do, I kept all that to myself. Then I started reaching out. You have to talk to somebody. I know a lot of people don't like to talk to their friends because then they'll say, oh, blah, blah, blah. They won't give you that equal 50-50 shot. They'll just judge you.
Right.
Talk to somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there's always someone there.
Right.
That's what I tell like people who come to see me. I said, I'm your crystal therapist. It doesn't stop from here. If something's bothering you, text me.
Yeah.
I'd rather you talk to me.
Right.
Talk to people. Communication is one of the biggest things. And get out of your own head.
You talked to me earlier before we even started this. You said that you had watched my video that posted up in the muster room. And that's exactly what we talk about.
Yes.
Reconnecting and talking. Don't bottle it up. Talk about it, because the worst thing you can do is bottle
it up. And what happens is everything else in your system starts getting destroyed.
Right.
Because you're keeping that energy inside as opposed to your voice. Your voice is the most powerful gift God has given you.
Yeah.
Use it, speak it, and listen.
Right. Well, that's a great piece of advice. And before we end the show, I know that you brought something with you that we want to talk about. So what do you got for us?
This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is actually really cool because we've seen it already, right?
Yeah.
But
so when I went to my first police week in 2013, I was standing by the elevator.
What is Police Week actually? Let's talk about that real quick. What is Police Week?
So Police Week, President Kennedy started.
I think it was 1962 or 64, something like that.
Something like that. I wasn't alive, so I can't really, go on the fact of the date. So Police Week is where once a year, everyone goes to Washington. There's a memorial with every officer who's died in the line of duty. Their name is etched on the wall. So all agencies, even all around the world, come to this memorial. They do bike rides. There's a museum. It's where the brotherhood could get together and support the families.
And it's a week long.
It's a week long.
Every May. And they have all kinds of things going on. Yeah.
You go in a car, you go in a gun, so all kinds of things. So it keeps it going, keeps it interesting.
Candlelight visual, the Unity bike tour. And we're talking, I mean, the size of this, the scale of this, we're talking about 40, 50,000 cops and their families, and the families of the fallen are in Washington, D.C. in a pretty small area. And I mean, it's just flooded with the blue.
The blue
and
everywhere.
The love and the support. Because I went last year for the first time, actually, believe it or not. And I will always go moving forward. I will never not miss a police week.
Right.
If you're a police officer or family of a law enforcement officer,
everyone should go at least once.
Have to. You have to go. So maybe we'll go maybe next year. Maybe we could do a podcast from down there. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that'd be great there.
Some of my dad's ashes are in the fountain out there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry. So
no. So when I was there, I was standing by the elevator, and I was by myself, and all these things were going on, and this beautiful woman came up to me, Miss Delaney, and she said, I lost my brother, New Hampshire police officer, and we started talking, and we were actually getting ready to leave, and the cops were outside honking for me, and I was inside running my mouth with her. So we linked up Facebook, and she does a lot of work for concerts and putting things together. And she saw that my brother had a Lincoln Park sticker on his locker. So now his uniform hangs there, of course, in a memorial. So she said, Lincoln Park is going to be at Long Beach. I said, oh my God. She goes, you want tickets? I was like, yeah, I'd love to go. But I didn't know that she gave us passes to go see them. So I took Officer Castillo with me as a thank you because he was one of the first to respond, and his family. And we went. So me and him went, and we're waiting for Chester Benningfield to come around. And Chester gets to me. I said, I know we don't have a lot of time, but my brother was killed in line of duty. And he grabs my hands. He said, I have time for you.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I said, can I show you this picture? And I had it ready. So I showed him the locker with my brother, Lincoln Park. He goes, my brother's a cop.
Really? I didn't know that.
And so is my father in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, this was a little while ago. I don't know if they're still there. I'm sure the dad is probably retired. Mm-hmm. So he signed it, and he gave me a big hug. And then he turned to Officer Castillo. He said, did we catch him? Did we catch him? It was like, yeah, we caught him.
Wow.
And we just finished trial, and he's in jail. And he stood there with us, and he hugged us because he only had like 20 seconds per individual in that spot.
Yeah. Right.
So this will now hang here with Chester's signature because now he's resting in a
Yeah, unfortunately, Chester, for those of you who don't know, he had his own demons and unfortunately committed suicide. Was it last year or the year before?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years already. Wow, it feels like it was just yesterday because I was a huge, or still am a huge Lincoln Park fan myself.
Too. Me too.
They're great. And I had no idea that Chester's family was all law enforcement. That
all
makes it
law
even more
enforcement.
even
So
more
anybody from
sentimental.
Phoenix, Arizona out there, Bennington, let us know.
Wow. Yeah, that's
please
great.
do.
So
We would love to talk to you.
So this backstage pass will be added to our building museum of all of our guests who come in here.
Yes.
This is amazing. So thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Truly means a lot to us.
Good. Right there, it shows the full circle.
It does.
Just because he's on stage performing doesn't mean his family's not protecting the line.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Charo, this has been a phenomenal show.
Oh my God, you guys are great.
You're great. And
you carried this thing.
Yeah,
and it's,
we didn't have to even really-
You hear
ask
that,
many
y'all? We can
questions.
fire them, and I'm coming on board.
we'd love to have you. You could be a co-host anytime because Eric wants to get rid of me. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, no, again, we truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me.
And listen,
vent.
I know it's not easy. And just so you're aware, you're actually the first family member of a fallen officer that we've had on this show.
Wow, I'm
So
truly
you're going to
blessed.
lead the way. And we have a few lined up, but we
That's
knew that we
fantabulous.
wanted Charo to be the first one on this show
You
to
guys are
talk
great.
about her.
You're making me blush. Oh my God.
to talk about the incident. And I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
And again, you gave great advice. You know, you took this terrible incident and you've turned it into something good with helping other first responders. So you're an amazing individual.
Thank you.
I see your social media. You're always going to different law enforcement events or other first responder
Yeah.
events. You're keeping your brother's name, alive and well out there. And
Yours is the only one I'm doing this year, by the way.
okay. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. I don't want to steal you away from anybody else, but we've created this great bond over the past few years. And you're actually wearing one of the shirts from one of the events that you came to.
Yes, I am.
This is completely off topic, but huge shout out to the Mets.
Yes.
The Mets are, you know what? Let's talk about that real quick before we
Yes,
end the show.
please.
What does the Mets mean to you and why?
Oh my goodness. So the Mets for me is just like Blue Family. They're always there supporting Leo Weekend, any police officer. And I have to shout out Susan Lucci.
And she's
Sue Lucci.
amazing.
Sue Lucci is operations. She manages operations.
She's the vice president of operations
Yep.
for the New York Mets.
For the New York Mets, and she sat behind me 4 years in high school. She hates it when I tell that story. But Lopez and Lucci, what can you do? And she's done so much and helped us out. And the Mets are always loving and giving.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a Phillies fan, but that's good to hear.
I'm a Yankee
and I'm a Yankee
fan.
fan. But I love the Mets now, truly. And
Yeah.
for the first time ever last year, I actually wore a Mets hat and a Mets jersey.
Yep.
And before I got into law enforcement, there was no way I was going to wear anything Mets related.
Me
but
too.
They have been unbelievable to not just your family, but to law enforcement in
Right.
general.
In general.
They're always one of the first MLB teams to put up the photos of fallen
I'm a
officers.
Yes.
fan now.
Yes.
They do a law enforcement night with us with law enforcement officers
That's
weekend
right.
every year. They let us throw out the first pitch. I mean, anytime we ask for signed memorabilia or whatever it is, they
just throw it
they just
at
give
us.
it to you. No questions asked. They support the blue through and through. So
and
shout
through.
out to the New York Mets.
New York
shout
Mets,
out,
woohoo.
shout out to Lou. Sue. Sorry,
Sue Lou.
What I was gonna say is the Mets. They're in first place, right?
Yes.
they're in first place in the National League. Yankees are in first place in the American League. Maybe we'll see a Yankees Mets World Series. Who knows?
Who
I hope
knows?
so. They're actually playing tonight.
Tomorrow.
Again. Or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the first game of the Subway Series. Again, this is going to air afterwards, so we'll see who wins.
Right.
But yeah, again, big
Place
shout
your
out.
bets now, people. Okay.
Big shout out to the Mets. So with that, I think this has been a great episode. Again,
Yes.
Charo, thank you so much for coming in. We
Oh,
truly
it's an
appreciate
honor
it.
you.
for me
It
to
was an
meet
honor
you,
for
and,
me to meet you,
it's
to
amazing.
see you here and meet you. And I'm never leaving the muster room. I just got to say.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to stay. Have
Please.
a cigar. Do
Thank
whatever
you.
you'd like. Yeah. So, Joe, take it away.
Take it away, Joe.